I'm Danielle Mitchell, and this is the Poetry Lab podcast. I started the Poetry Lab 10 years ago to help struggling, self-taught writers like me find a place in their community to write, read, learn, and collaborate. As an intersectional feminist, writer, and teaching artist, I help writers tap into their craft with radical self-compassion, unlike anything they've ever seen in the creative writing classroom before. If you're a creative person trying to establish a writing practice in the real world, this podcast is designed to help you carve out the time, the courage, and the inspiration to keep writing your new shit. Are you ready, poet? Let's get into it.
Hey y'all, Lori here. I am a prose poet and creative nonfiction writer. In my day job, I am a social media marketer and creative career consultant. My primary mission is to help you build a sustainable creative career, whatever that looks like for you, and make marketing yourself as a poet, if not fun, then at least as painless as possible, and make social media something useful, joyful, and not something you have to do all the time, unless you want to. I am so excited to share this journey with you, and today we will be talking about that perennially uninvited guest who crashes the party and just won't leave. Imposter syndrome. That sneaky bastard has a knack for showing up in a lot of unexpected ways at the worst possible time, even when you've just achieved something pretty incredible. The bonkers thing is that it can actually take a few different forms, which I'll be discussing later in this episode. Now, the unfortunate thing about imposter syndrome is that there really isn't a hard and fast way to just banish it forever. But there are some things that you can do to quell the beast, and I'll be getting into that too. Are you ready, poet? Let's go. Before we delve into the depths of imposter syndrome, let's make sure that we're on the same page about what it is. It's not just a lack of confidence, although that is part of it. It's a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their achievements and live with a fear of being exposed as frauds. In my opinion and experience, it's a product of caring and taking things seriously, which is good and important to an extent. Now, I'll get into this a little bit later, but I actually had a bit of imposter syndrome around doing this episode because I wanted it to be good and useful for you because I care about the content that we at the Poetry Lab put out into the world. But the problem happens when it goes to such an extreme that imposter syndrome keeps you from doing what you need or want to do. So, despite my feelings of inadequacy, I set aside my fear and am recording the damn episode anyway because my podcast team is counting on me. So let's talk about some of the ways that imposter syndrome shows up. Some signs of imposter syndrome include persistent self-doubt, fear of failure, overworking to compensate for perceived inadequacies, and attributing success to external factors rather than one's own capabilities. Let's unpack that a little bit. So, imposter syndrome can show up in not applying for a job or a promotion because you feel unqualified. Now, I'm not talking about the obvious signs of not being qualified, like I'm definitely not qualified to apply for a job as a neurosurgeon. So, yeah, there are some situations where you're really just not qualified, but that's not imposter syndrome. That's just common sense. I'm talking about your run-of-the-mill situations, like not applying for a promotion, even though you have 10 years of experience in your field, because you don't feel qualified to be a supervisor, or like you deserve to make that much money. There's actually this statistic that women tend to not apply for a job unless they feel like they are like over 90% qualified. But men will apply for a job if they feel like they're even 70% qualified. And I actually had a little bit of that whenever it came to writing this episode. Who am I to talk about imposter syndrome? I don't know that much about it other than just experiencing it on occasion, but here I am anyway. And, even with the whole Poetry Lab podcast, I've totally experienced imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be talking about topics that are interesting to a poet? I just know my one little teeny tiny bit of experience. There are so many people that are so much more experienced with poetry than I am. But here I am anyway. So, imposter syndrome can also manifest in perfectionism, like not submitting a poem because it's not perfect yet. You can keep tinkering with that poem forever, and it's never going to feel like it's good enough. Or my brand of perfectionism, not fully launching my business because I feel like I need to take just one more course, learn just a little bit more so that I can launch the best damn business you've ever seen. And then finally, imposter syndrome can come whenever you've accomplished something. Rather than owning your success or talents or accomplishment, you chalk it up to luck or some external advantage or factor. And I just got lucky. Imposter syndrome can come from a lot of different root causes, like early experiences, your upbringing, and societal expectations. Things that we've been hearing our entire lives and certain standards that we're pressured to conform to can contribute to feeling imposter syndrome. So, that unfortunate statistic that I mentioned earlier about women needing to feel at least 90% qualified for a job, that's a really real thing. And the unfortunate truth is that women tend to suffer from imposter syndrome more frequently than men. I feel like we're making strides in this area, or maybe I've reached the age where I don't really give a shit what other people think of me, and I'm just going to be more confident in myself. Or maybe I'm running in a different circle now because I really am around a lot of powerful, smart, and sassy, successful women on the reg. Regardless, I am feeling kind of hopeful that maybe imposter syndrome is becoming less of a thing now that we are so widely discussing it. And now that so many women are in a position to give other women some encouragement and a leg up. But, another place where I see imposter syndrome running rampant, and the reason that I decided to pitch an episode on imposter syndrome to the Poetry Lab podcast, is the creative world. It is so subjective. Whether or not a piece gets accepted, or whether or not we get attention for this or that thing that we made, is really quite out of our hands. There's not like a creativity checklist where if you tick off all the boxes, you're guaranteed success and notoriety as an artist. And okay, yes, some people certainly have an easier time of getting published and getting promoted than others, but we're not going to go into that in this episode. Because the thing is, that doesn't mean that their art is objectively good. And that's what I'm really getting at. Art is so subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder and whatnot. But our art is so personal and so ingrained in us that it is difficult, if not impossible, to separate the two and not take it as a judgment on our worth if someone doesn't like our stuff. With a solid understanding of imposter syndrome, the next step is crucial. How do we overcome it? Well, here's a couple of strategies and tips to combat imposter syndrome. Spoiler alert, it's all about mindset and self-compassion. There's not a switch that you can flip and then just boot imposter syndrome from your party. I wish there was. But it really starts with acknowledging and reframing negative thoughts. Ask yourself, is that an opinion or is it a fact? Whenever you feel some sort of negativity creeping to the surface of your mind. If you think you just got lucky when you've gotten some good news, remind yourself that no, I did earn this. Celebrating your wins is big here. There have been a couple of instances lately where I've landed a much needed client or got some good news, and I immediately scheduled drinks with my husband to go celebrate. And we'd be sitting at the bar, chit-chatting a bit, and then I'd just sort of randomly and abruptly say, well, cheers to me, and we'd clink glasses. The first time or two I said this, cheers to me, I caught myself kind of internally thinking, awkward. But then I was like, no, really, cheers to me. I did that thing. I got that client. Yeah, I might have gotten an introduction from somebody who was a mutual acquaintance, but I still had to show that I could do the job. You can do this too. Another way to combat imposter syndrome, if you're thinking, who am I to blah, 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 is to remember this. All you need is a 10% edge. All you need is to know just 10% more than your audience knows. That's not a lot. This podcast script was my 10% edge. I might keep digging and find another 10% edge on imposter syndrome and be back later with another episode called Advanced Imposter Syndrome or something. We'll see. But I wasn't an expert in imposter syndrome before pitching this episode. It was just something that was on my mind. So I did a little bit of research, tacked on some anecdotal evidence or experience, and hey, I've got an episode. Anyway, that tip is for all you perfectionist imposter syndrome sufferers. You do not have to be a veritable expert in something. You just have to know 10% more. And I've saved the hardest for last. And honestly, I think I'm giving myself this advice more than I'm giving it to anybody else. And that's this. You can keep tinkering, waiting, researching, whatevering you're doing to procrastinate until you feel ready or good enough forever. There will always be more to learn, more edits to make, more episodes of the Gilmore Girls to rewatch, more reasons to pause, more reasons, more excuses to keep you from shining. You will never get the good stuff if you stay on the periphery. You won't be for everybody, but that's kind of a good thing. Being disliked or getting that no or whatever, that means that you've picked a side. You had an opinion or a stance or a point of view. You weren't just bland. Who wants to be bland? Okay, a couple of other things that you can do. Build a support system. Find some people who will push you outside of your comfort zone, who will call you on your bullshit when they can tell that you're procrastinating, but who will ultimately hype you up and keep you grounded. This is so helpful. I don't know that I could have gotten this script and another one that I'm going to be recording in a little bit done without Danielle. She is totally part of my support system. She pushed me to do some episodes for the Poetry Lab podcast. She is like, you can do it. You got this, blah, blah, blah. But she keeps me grounded. She makes sure I get my stuff done. And then also, finally, I just want to note, if imposter syndrome has you so stuck in place that you are self-sabotaging or self-destructing, seeking professional help like therapy is a valuable option. So don't discount that if it's truly wreaking havoc with your life. And there you have it, a short dive into imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome often ties back to perfectionism and a deep-seated fear of failure. Those experiencing it tend to attribute their success to luck or external factors rather than recognizing their own capabilities. If you're grappling with imposter syndrome, you are not alone. Reframe your thoughts, celebrate your wins, and just do the damn thing. You know enough, you are enough, and you've totally earned it. Cheers to us. I've got my drink raised. If you liked this episode, please give us a like and a follow and help us spread the word about our podcast by texting the link to a few creative friends. You can also find us at thepoetrylab.com/podcast. That's all for now. I hope to see you soon at the Poetry Lab.